Folks, Friday Morning Fodder, Edition 1, Volume 1, Take 1. So here goes nothing. My name's Doug Etten. I'll be your host with the most this morning, I guess, or something with the least, I guess, whatever you want to say. Sports editor Brian Rose and news editor Ray Rivard, all from the Lakeland Times here this morning. So gonna bring you this little webcast every Friday morning to let you know what's going on in the Lakeland area, state of Wisconsin, and nationally on the sports world anyways. Current events and all that sort of stuff. So starting out this morning, we'll toss it over to Ray Rivard and he'll do some local news stuff, let you know what's happening there. I'll cut back with some outdoors and Brian's going to hit us with some sports. So we'll start out with Ray. Ray, what's happening in the world of news?
Well, news this week. Of course, news never stops here at the Lakeland Times, especially in the editor's office. But this weekend, of course, is Beefarama. And we can't also forget about Colorama, which takes place up in Manitouwaders and Sainer. But the big action around here, of course, will be Friday, today, tonight, and tomorrow with Beefarama. Music, games, beef, you name it. Come to town, there will be plenty to do. And of course, it's the top story in today's edition of the Lakeland Times. Also on today's edition, of course, last week we lost our longtime journalist, Joyce Lobbs. We have a 7-page remembrance about Joyce, written by her friends and colleagues with pictures. That's inside today's edition. You won't want to miss that. Also on the cover, the big news, Lac du Flambeau School instituted a dress code. There are some parents who are not happy with the dress code. It was recommended by a consultant that was hired by the tribe. That's an interesting story and one that will play out probably down the road quite a ways. The other story that's on our cover today, the Minocqua Town Board on Tuesday night passed a resolution prohibiting anybody from utilizing the medians that divide the highway on the island, both the north median and the south median. Most recently they've been used by protesters who have stood on the median. The reason that the town board passed the resolution prohibiting this is for safety's sake. They don't want anybody to get hit or any vehicles to be distracted. So that's an important story for a lot of people who have been following the protest movement and whatever. So those are the main stories that are in the main section of the Lakeland Times today. In the extra section, Julie Robleski's spent last week gathering comments from people who used to work at the Lakeland Memorial Hospital, which was most recently the Dr. Cates Convalescent Center. That facility was abandoned. Well, they moved out. It was bought by Avanti. Avanti built a new facility on the west side of town. They moved there, and the old Dr. Cates nursing home and hospital is going to be torn down within the month. So they had a special ceremony where they pulled the cornerstone out. They're going to save the cornerstone, make a little park there after the building goes down. But some of the people who worked at the hospital and at the nursing home provided, their memories about the place. It has a long history. So that's the top story in the extra section of today's issue. But again, to recap, the big thing, of course, this weekend, Beefarama. Get out there, get your beef, cook your beef, whatever you do with it. The roast, I guess. Oh, don't forget, Brian will probably talk about it. The rump roast run.
Oh yeah?
I didn't mention that. That's of course hundreds of people participated in that.
So everything Orama this weekend sounds like.
Everything Orama this weekend, and Colorama. Yeah,
yep.
Can't forget about the big dinners and all the shindigs up in Sainer and Manitowish Waters.
Kind of funny that we get to the end of the summer and everybody thinks that time just stops up here, but September's a pretty busy month. Even Ray mentioned Colorama, some of the stuff happening in the outdoors. All kinds of muskie fishing tournaments going on and stuff like that. Last week we had one of our own, Russ Smith, who owns a shop. He's owned a shop down here in downtown Minocqua for 37 years now. He was inducted, or is going to be inducted, into the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. So definitely a point of emphasis for those muskie guides who spend a lot of time out in the water and stuff like that. So opening up black bear last weekend, opening archery deer last weekend up here. So a lot of hunters and fishermen out there doing all kinds of stuff. Cranberry season's coming into full swing now. So with the fall colors, you get the cranberry season. So we'll have some stuff coming up in our outdoor section about that. All kinds of stuff happening, and of course Brian, covering the sports aspect of things, he's pretty much getting into mid-season with a lot of these things, trying to figure out who's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to make the postseason push. So what's happening in sports, Brian?
Well, it's Friday night and it's fall, so it's football around. Lakeland's going to be heading over to Rhineland tonight. Of course, that's 2 0-5 teams, but when Lakeland and Rhineland get together, it's always going to be a fun game to watch. So it'll be fun to get over there. Very winnable game. Coach Mike Mistel looking for his first career win as a head coach.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So
yeah.
Maybe tonight we can get that. Last week they traveled to Merrill, their first home game of the season, or first road game of the season, I should say. Lost 29-16, but the last 2 games they played a lot better than we've seen, in the first few games.
At least they've scored some points and made a game of it.
Put some points on the board. One of the things that I really noticed is that they've been hitting a lot better. Defensively, they've been the aggressor, which is key in high school football.
Yeah, it seems like they've been able to play well into the second half now, where the first half of the season it was like first 2 quarters and then it was straight downhill. Now they've been able to extend that line out, it seems, a little bit to the third and fourth quarters, which is good to see.
Yeah, kind of taking care of some of the turnover issues they had in the first half, and they really moved the ball.
How about injuries? They've had some injuries early in the season. Are there some people coming back?
Probably not yet this game. They might get a couple guys back, but the big injury all year has been Cole Weldon at quarterback, and with his knee, and it still doesn't look like he's going to be back yet this week. Maybe next week. Maybe for homecoming when they welcome Ashland in on the 7th. It's hard to say with that knee injury, how it's going to respond. So.
No, that's kind of a unique game too when Ashland comes here, of course, with the Mistel history and stuff like that. And I know, Brian, I think you got a big story working for that week, don't you?
Yeah, we got Tom Mistel, who was longtime Ashland coach, and Mike Mistel was the quarterback there when they won their state title. Both on the Lakeland coaching staff now. So when Ashland comes to town, that's going to be kind of a fun game, for both sides. Both sides of the coin there for the Ashland people to see, their former coach who took them to state, took them down to Madison, and to see them playing now against their old team.
A little sidelight to that, the Packers, every week they have a coach of the week.
Oh yeah.
A high school coach. The coach this week, and the name escapes me, but he coaches up in
Solon Springs. Brad Tratine, I think, is his name.
And he played for Tom Mistel way back when.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's always fun to see those coaching trees. How they develop off of there. So.
What about outside the gridiron, I should say? Anything else happen?
Well, we got a lot of big games coming up this week where a lot of conference leaders are going to be coming into Lakeland. Volleyball is going to host Tomahawk. Tomahawk always has a great volleyball program. They've been down to state the last couple of years. They're looking